All right, everybody, welcome to episode 7, part 2 of Resilience. If you haven't listened to our last episode, I want to encourage you to check it out. Lots of great nuggets there, but I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah. Probably the thing that keeps me going in tough days is the story of Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, an Austrian guy, the Nazis show up at his village there, and there's a guy who lines everybody up, and he's wearing this Nazi uniform, and he's standing there with a dull look in his eyes, and with one finger, he kind of gestures left or right with his finger like this as he chooses who will live and who will die in the town. They shoot everybody that goes to the right. That's most of the people. All the people on the left, they get on a train. They strip them down. They're naked. Everybody's naked on a train going through Siberia or whatever. They're freezing. It's -20, and their freedoms are removed. He's starving. Everybody is starving. And he notes that there was a difference between the people that survived and the people that didn't. And the people that survived had something to live for. Right. He wanted to write this book called Man's Search for Meaning. And when he wrote the book, he wrote this: the last of man's freedoms, the one that cannot be taken away, is his ability to choose his mindset in the midst of his circumstance.
Yeah.
Nobody can take that away from you. Nobody.
That's so good.
So in the midst of cancer, in the midst of death, for Viktor Frankl, in the midst of an actual Holocaust, he says, the only thing that nobody can take away from me is my mindset.
Wow.
Wow. That's a man who, despite everything going on around him, searches for meaning by taking on as much responsibility for himself as he can, even though he's naked in a train in -20, being sent to a concentration camp. And if that guy can do it, then how much more can I, with all the stupid and frivolous complaints that I have in my life, I will decide. Because God has given me a reason to live, I will decide to take as much responsibility on myself as I can. Because if I don't, I just get bitter and resentful, and I complain, and I bring down the people around me. So
that's really good. I think one more thing here. We're going a little bit longer. We're gonna split this into 2 podcasts here, but we can keep going. We can kind of create an intersection. I think one more thing that I think about often is the reality that life is short. And I think if you want to build real resilience, you need to know that life is short and it's fleeting. Like at the end of your life, when you're old and gray, what are you going to be looking back at your life at? You're going to be looking back and regretting the decisions you're making, or you're going to look back and be proud of them, right? And I think when we think about how short life is, it puts things in perspective. And what this looks like practically for me is if I'm going through something, let's say I'm anxious or I'm discouraged about something, and if it's lasting longer than say 5 minutes, I will just think through and just ask myself, life is this short. I'll put my fingers up. I do this by myself all the time. I put my fingers up and say, life is this short. And I'm like, is this actually important? Do I need to be experiencing this right now? And I look at that, I'm like, no, okay, I need to move on, right? And so for me, just thinking about the shortness of life helps me put things in perspective, helps me look at my son and say, okay, I need to be present right now. He's here. This relationship matters. Okay, Austin's in front of me. I'm thinking about 100 other things, but this relationship matters for eternity. I need to be present. And when I'm facing, again, anxiety or an attack of the enemy or something like that that's negative, again, is this going to matter in eternity? Do I need to be living by this fear, this anxiety any longer? No, I need to move on. And so, that is really, really important, I think, for me in being resilient. And the last thing I want to say on this one before moving to another question here is I think another really important aspect of being resilient is having a long-term vision. And again, having that vision for yourself, let's say 10 years down the road, where you know where you're going and who you want to become. I think so many people, especially a lot of young men, they just don't have a vision moving forward. They don't have a vision of who they're becoming. Yes. What are they called to do? What's their business? Yes. I was meeting with a really amazing young guy in our church and just began asking him the question, hey, later in your life, what kind of husband do you want to be? What kind of dad do you want to be? What kind of leader do you want to be? What do you want to be or who do you want to be in your business? And these are important questions that we need to be asking ourselves. And as we do that, that gives us a vision forward, right? And so I would encourage people out there, if you're listening, if you are struggling with being resilient, then I really believe that you getting a long-term vision for yourself, a vision for yourself going forward, is absolutely critical for you to be resilient. And it gives your pain a purpose, right? When you're going through your pain and when you're going through things that are hard, it gives it purpose because you know where you're going. So, yeah.
Absolutely excellent. Are we switching to part 2, or are we just keep on going?
I think we can just film like a, hey, thanks for listening to part 1.
Okay. We'll do that
because we're already at 35 minutes.
Okay, we keep on going.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing to me? It's almost miraculous. Is that every year or 2 or 3, I will write down on my phone all of the things that I want to do in the next year, 2 years, 5 years. Sometimes I'll do a 20-year.
Wow.
I'll switch it up a little bit. And
big picture stuff.
It blows my mind, Chris, how scary accurate, what I write down 5 years ago comes to pass, even though I forgot that I wrote it.
Yeah.
So I'll find these notes on my phone. It'll say 5-year plan, 20-year plan, 2-year plan from 2 years ago, 5 years ago.
Right.
And it is scary accurate, Chris, how precise these goals are, and how I forgot that I wrote that note.
Yeah.
I forgot all about those goals. But just the fact that I wrote it down once, I did it. This will freak you out. So
wow.
So one of the goals was, of course, find a girlfriend. One of the goals was,
I think it was more choose the right girlfriend because there's too many girls finding you.
Cut that out. So, but one of them was start a young adults ministry. One of them was plant a church in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Become a pastor. One of them was charge $60 precisely for my vocal coaching per hour. Yeah, and now I charge $65. Crazy.
Wow.
One of them was go for lunch with 2 young guys a week. I do that now. Go have mentorship 2 times a week. I do that now. So now I have a business mentor, a pastoral mentor. I have you. I have a number of guys in my life that pour into me.
Yeah.
Start a YouTube channel, start a podcast, start a business.
Come on.
It was like crazy precise.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. Go on a mission trip to Venezuela. Go on a mission trip to Cuba. Go on a mission trip to Mexico. Save up a certain amount of money. All of these things came to pass, and I forgot that I wrote them. So just the ability to give yourself, even just in your brain, some direction forward.
Yeah.
In some direction. At the end of the day, you can have different goals, but the direction is Christ. I want to build up the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
What do I need to do it? A family would probably help. Some money would probably help. A business that can make me some money will probably help. The ability to work on my personality and my body and my finances, all of these things will help me build up the kingdom of God.
Wow.
Of course, at the end of the day, God is sovereign over all things.
Yeah.
But practically speaking, if I want to become an elder, I need to rule my family well.
Yeah.
First Thessalonians says I need to provide for my family. Titus says I need to be able to teach. Okay, well, just those 3 right there, right? I need to rule my family well, so I need to be a very competent leader. I need to provide for them, which means I need to go make money, especially if I live in Vancouver. And I needed to be able to teach, which takes a lot of training. Okay, so now I got a direction.
Yeah.
And it's not just me throwing away God's sovereignty, going. Well, I've got it from here, God. No. That's not it. It's me going. Jesus gives me a reason to take responsibility in my life.
Yeah, and
That's what it is.
It's a vision and a goal forward that's very practical.
That's what it is, man.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's to harness and to put every aspect of my life into alignment with one goal.
Wow.
And that is to glorify God by building his kingdom.
Wow. I think, our next question was, what does resilience look like in our walk with God? But I think you just answered that really well.
What do you think?
No, that was good. I don't think we're done there yet. I think that's just really good. And I think people need to take note of what Austin just said, because it's just practically laid out in the Bible. Thessalonians, Titus, here are some goals for you as a man or as a woman of God. Here's some things that you need to walk towards. Well, primarily men, I guess, is what we're talking about here. But here's some goals moving forward, and I think that's just so good.
Yeah, men or women, man. Here's like a reason to live.
Yeah.
You know, I listen to atheists often because I'm always interested. I follow all the atheist meme pages. I listen to atheist podcasts. I'm always looking for like, give me better arguments. Give me more objections. Give me all your questions. I want to know. I want to know what the other side thinks. Right?
Yeah.
And the fundamental issue is the issue of the purpose of life.
Wow.
The fundamental, I heard one philosopher say that the biggest question in philosophy is the question of suicide. Because why not?
Right.
Why not just end it?
Why not just end it? Yeah.
If it's hard,
Yeah.
if you feel like giving up, why not just end it? Why is your life so infinitely valuable that we get mad at people that give up?
Right.
That if you kill somebody else, it's not simply that you incurred a cost on me.
Yeah.
It's not simply that you took away somebody that I had an emotional bond to neurochemically. No. It's that you committed a crime against the universe. It's that you did something objectively morally wrong. It's that you have done something so outrageous because you sinned against the image of whatever humans are. And Christianity comes along and goes, I know what that image is. And his name is Jesus. We come along and go, here's the reason why. That's the end of the sentence. Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. And in an atheist, a secular worldview, we grasp at straws in our culture.
Wow.
To find some kind of justice or mercy or some kind of objective morality, and so we form these perhaps as a political ideation or ideology. Or we have some ideal, like in our culture right now, it's compassion for some reason. It's like compassion reigns above all things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Compassion is God. Compassion is, but the problem is that compassion ain't everything. Compassion can lead you into some weird places.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, my point is simply this. I went off track.
You're good.
My point is simply this, that it is only in a life submitted to God, the God of the Bible, that every aspect of your life becomes submitted to the love of others, which we all intrinsically know is the purpose of our life. We all know that. That's what every book is about. That's what every movie is about. Every poem, every song is it comes back to this one rule, which is no matter what, at the end of the day, it's about the love of that image within you. Something in you is infinitely valuable. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. It's ineffable. But there's something about the human spirit that you can't pay money for.
Totally. That's so good.
And so Christianity comes along and goes and just puts words to that feeling and goes, here's what it is. But the problem with atheism is you can't, even though they also have that same feeling, they can't justify it.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, if you get real hungry, you're out in the forest and maybe we're away from government, maybe we're in Alaska or something and we're surviving. My parents watch this show on Netflix, they survive in Alaska. And the worst sides of people come out. They start to lie. They start to steal. They start to cheat. There's no government around. Nobody's watching you. And all of a sudden, you start to make rationale. Why? Because who cares if that other guy goes hungry?
Right.
Well, why is that objectively wrong?
Right.
If there's no God, if there's nobody watching over you, if there's no point to your life, why not? I'm going to survive.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really good. I think we're at to wrap up probably relatively soon. Josh, how long have we been going for? Probably almost about 45 minutes. I just want to talk about really quick, maybe just a few examples of a few more examples of resilience when it comes to our walk with God, which I think you gave some good examples. I do have a few that I could share. I just want to honor people's time here, but I'll chalk it up to this. I think resilience is obedience when it costs you something. You know, obedience when it costs you something. We think about Jesus on the cross. To me, resilience is Jesus on the cross saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. And that's what I find to be true spiritual resistance, is when we can love people when we don't want to love people. That when we can go and share the gospel with somebody when we feel like we're nervous and that's the most inconvenient thing for us. Or we can actually be obedient to the Lord in the moment where we don't want to be obedient. That's what I feel like true resilience in our Christian walk is. I think about my relationship with my wife sometimes, and I think about resilience with her. And I think, you know, after you get married, there's just, if you're married in here, you can attest to this too, but there's just so many opportunities to get resentful in your marriage. And you have a real tension of constantly fighting resentment or resilience. You know, do I choose resentment, and do I resent my wife or my spouse for making these kind of decisions, making me feel this way? Or do I actually grow resilience, and do I fight for connection with them? And I think this is what our journey is with people and with the Lord, is how can we, stay true to the faith, and not just stay true to our faith, but grow in our faith, and not get resentful towards God or towards the world. And I think about all these atheists you're talking about. I think a lot of these atheists that you hear that are, a lot of them are ex-Christians, where they used to be a part of the church and they got hurt. And so instead of them becoming more resilient and diving into the Word and finding answers, diving into the relationship with the Lord and getting stronger, having more resilience, they got resentful.
They got resentful towards a God they don't believe exists.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think often atheists allow people, just humans, to determine who God is. So they were hurt by the church and they said, okay, well, this is who God is. God is judgmental. God is hateful. God is angry. And he doesn't like me and he doesn't love me. And really, that was just somebody poorly representing Christ, not the image of Christ, right? They're just poorly representing God. And so, I just think for me, I'm like, resilience, man, in our walk with God is just loving people when they don't deserve it, forgiving people when we feel like they don't deserve it, sharing the gospel when it's inconvenient to us, and really living a life of obedience unto the Lord.
Dude, you touched on something there that I think is absolutely essential, and it's something that we have been talking about as pastors and going through with a lot of people in our church, which is simply this. The theme is this: injustice is not yours to handle.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Paul says, do not repay evil for evil.
Come on.
Because vengeance is mine, says the Lord, and I will repay. So God is the one who takes care of injustice at the end of time. You know, God is the one who in eternity exacts the perfect punishment, which is in perfect alignment to exactly what you did in life. If you punched somebody else, if you insulted somebody else, the pain that you incurred will be incurred back to you precisely in eternity. And we don't want to give up the ability to be judge and jury and executioner, and we want to get people back because they cheated me, they wronged me. Maybe it's something as stupid as they might have been having a rough day on Sunday and they didn't give me a hug.
Right. Yeah.
And spiritual maturity goes like Romans 14 or like 1 Corinthians 15, bear with the weaker brother.
Yeah.
Bear with him.
Yeah.
Walk with him. Bear with the weakness of those that are less far along than you. Somebody's going to walk in and they can't regulate their emotions the way that you can. They're grumpy. They're tired. They're not giving you a hug. They give you the side eye. They give you the cold shoulder. Whatever it is, they come along and they don't treat you right, and you feel the sense of injustice. You're like, I'm gonna go show them. I'm gonna prove it to them. I'm gonna get back at them. I'm gonna make it right. I'm gonna make it fair.
Right.
And spiritual maturity comes along and says, that's not your job.
Yep. Yeah.
Because the righteous judge is not you. The righteous judge will come at the end of eternity, and he will deal with sin. And if anything has been done wrong against you, he will take care of it. But you go to the same cross that they do to get mercy.
Right.
Therefore, mercy and justice is not yours to take care of. God will take care of it. You simply bless your enemies. Pray for those that persecute you. Build up the church, even when you feel wronged, even when you feel like you've been committed an injustice against. Don't pay back evil for evil. Overcome evil with good. Build the kingdom of God, despite the fact that people within the kingdom may treat you unfairly, may gossip about you, may speak ill of you, may give you, may take away an opportunity from you. Doesn't matter. Bless them. Bless them and do not curse.
And that is spiritual resilience.
That is resilience within the context of the church. That is resilience within the context of the kingdom of God. It is not your job to make things fair. It is not your job to get back or to repay evil for evil, even though you feel that instinct. That instinct is pointing you to the fact that in eternity, God is the one who takes care of it and not you.
Good. That's so good. I think one example I want to kind of maybe I'll close on or get close to closing here is I think about resilience, and I think about Jesus washing his disciples' feet the night before he's crucified. And I think that's just such a profound example of resilience for me, because if it was my last night on earth, there's no way I'd be washing a bunch of my followers' smelly feet. There's no way I'd be going around my church saying, hey, let's all get together, 12 of us, and I'm going to wash your feet.
Picture Judas.
Yeah.
His nasty feet.
Yeah, and be betraying Jesus. Like he's about to...
Couple hours later.
Yeah, a couple hours to betray him, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is spiritual resistance, to see Jesus washing his disciples' feet, washing them, cleaning them, serving them, and loving them to the very end. And then the next day being on the cross saying, Father, forgive them. They know not what they're doing. That is spiritual resistance to me. That is resilience at its finest, is I think... You're not made in your brightest moments when everyone's looking. You're defined by the moments where you're in the most suffering. And I think about David Goggins. Like, he has an insane mindset where he's always like running into suffering. Like, he purposely wants to suffer, which is like, it's almost mental. Like, it's kind of insane that he does that. Yeah. But it's amazing, because in that suffering is when we are made resilient. That's when like our best attributes come out. That's who we really are comes out. And that's just like what you're saying. There's people surviving in Alaska. Like, your true attributes come out when you're suffering and when you're in this place of either you get destroyed or you actually gain resilience. That's where who we are is proven. And so I just. I don't know if we want to give a couple practical tips as we close here. But do you have any like quick little practical tips you can give people as we're leaving here? Resilience, maybe just like one-liners, just a couple jot notes.
Your emotional state is your responsibility and nobody else's. Nobody else's.
That's really good.
You are responsible for how you feel. Other people should not have control over your emotional state.
Don't be a victim.
Yeah, do not go, you made me angry.
Yeah.
You made me cry.
Yeah.
You made me frustrated. Yeah. Stop doing that. It's your responsibility how you feel in the moment and how you react. Number 2, your maturity means handling the emotions of others. So spiritual weakness and immaturity, if you're beginning on the journey of Christ, perhaps you can't handle your own emotions. You need to lean on others.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm not condemning anybody, but what I am saying is, I'm always pointing people in our church in a vision forward. In a vision forward. Let's get you eventually to work towards getting to a place where you can do what I'm doing for you right now, where you can help others because you have your own emotions under control.
That's so
that
good.
Would be fantastic. And the last thing is, insecurity will cripple you. Your closest 10%. Those people in your life that are really close to you, your family, your best friends, your pastor, your closest 10% should carry 90% of the weight of what others think about you.
Right.
The other 90%, the people commenting on Instagram, the people commenting on Facebook,
means nothing.
The people that you don't know that well, the people at church that glance at you weird, whatever, those people should carry 10% of the weight. They don't know you. They don't know your situation. And if somebody doesn't love you and have a genuine desire to build you up, their criticism isn't worth that much. But if somebody close to you that loves you builds you up through criticism, faithful are the wounds of a friend.
Come on.
Faithful are the wounds of a friend, and the wise man loves the one that corrects him. So don't let insecurity cripple you and tear down your resilience. Instead, allow the people, those 10% of people that are super close to you, to make up the majority of that weight.
That's so good. Come on, man. That's so good. Well, guys, I think that wraps it up. The other thing I would add to what you said, because I think we have the same notes here, is just do it scared. So I would say the same thing. Just do it scared. Yes. Don't wait for things to be perfect. Do it scared. And face every obstacle that comes your way head on, because if you don't face it, you're going to have to face it again eventually. So that's all I would say to add on to that. So, guys, thanks for joining us here today as we talked about resilience. We love you guys, and we'll be back next week with another episode.